Hello and welcome to the Nebraska Department of Transportation's Public Information Open House meeting for the Wisner to West Point North project. Over the last several years, NDOT has been working to complete the U.S. Highway 275 expressway between Norfolk and Scribner. The first project was Scribner to West Point. This project was approximately 20 miles long with an estimated total cost of approximately $180 million in state funds. The expressway lanes are currently open to traffic. The next project is Norfolk to Wisner. This project has approximately 12 miles contracted for construction, and 4 miles are still in design. It's expected to cost $114 million of state funds. Construction is expected to start in 2025 and be complete in 2029. The final segment, Wisner to West Point North, is approximately 12 miles long and is expected to cost $86 million in state funds. Construction could begin as early as 2025 and be complete in 2029. The proposed project, identified as Wisner to West Point North, would expand US 275 from a 2-lane expressway to a 4-lane expressway along an approximately 12-mile segment in Cumming County, Nebraska. The proposed project on US 275 would begin at the southeast edge of Wisner at approximately mile marker 102.67 and continue to approximately mile marker 114.02 northwest of West Point, where it would connect to the existing 4-lane highway. The existing 4-lane roadway in Beamer would be overlaid. The purpose of the proposed project is to fulfill legislative intent to develop the expressway system identified in the 1988 Nebraska Highway Needs Study, provide a safer, more efficient roadway that improves regional connectivity on US 275 for the traveling public, including commercial traffic, in northeast Nebraska to complete the Norfolk to Fremont Expressway, and maximize use of existing transportation infrastructure and existing right-of-way, improve the condition of the existing infrastructure, and maximize the cost-effectiveness of the project. The proposed improvements on this project consist of expanding the existing 2-lane highway to a 4-lane expressway by constructing a new parallel 2-lane roadway on one side of the existing highway. Grading would occur along the entire project. Resurfacing, repairing, and rehabilitating the existing lanes as needed, including an overlay in Beamer. Improving US 275 intersections with Nebraska Link 20A and various county roads, including adding left turn lanes at county road intersections with US 275. Drainage structures would be extended, repaired, or replaced as needed. The project would be constructed under traffic with lane closures controlled by appropriate traffic control devices and practices. NDOT would use the 2+2 approach to maintain traffic, which allows us to construct the improvements without a detour and minimizes traffic disruption. Here's how 2+2 works. While the new lanes are being built on one side, traffic is maintained on the existing lanes. Once the new lanes are completed, both directions of traffic are shifted onto the new lanes while the existing roadway and bridges are repaired and resurfaced. Once the repairs to the existing roadway are complete, the new expressway segment would be open to 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. This approach would minimize traffic disruption, maximize the use of existing roadway, and minimize environmental and community impacts. A highway detour would not be required. Work on county roads would be phased so that 2 adjacent county roads are not under construction at the same time. Access to adjacent properties would be maintained during construction, but may be limited at times due to phasing requirements. This slide shows a typical section for the proposed project. The new roadway would be constructed either north or south of the existing roadway. There would be 2 12-foot wide lanes with an 8-foot wide paved shoulder on the outside and 4-foot wide paved shoulder on the inside. NDOT would resurface and reuse the existing roadway to preserve the existing asset, save costs, and reduce the time to complete the project. For most of the project, the median would be approximately 54 feet wide, as shown here. NDOT would construct a narrower median in the urban areas east of Wisner and on both sides of Beamer. This slide shows the 20-foot raised turf median that would be used to transition from the 54-foot median in rural areas to the existing 4 lanes in the towns. This will help cue drivers to slow down as they approach both communities. NDOT would construct a 14-foot two-way left turn lane closer to Wisner where there are more existing driveways. This would help maintain full access. Similar to the rural expressway sections, NDOT would preserve the existing assets by overlaying as much pavement as practical. A U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit would be required. The Corps process requires NDOT to evaluate more than one alternative, compare the impacts of those alternatives, select the alternative with the least environmental impact, and then mitigate wetland and stream impacts. NDOT's alternative evaluation resulted in the comparison of 3 alternatives, the no-build alternative and 2 build alternatives. The first alternative is widen north, and new lanes would be constructed to the north of existing lanes. The second alternative is widen south, and new lanes would be constructed to the south of the existing lanes. Construction would begin on the south end of the project, north of West Point, to connect to the recently constructed new lanes. NDOT developed standard corridors to compare impacts of these 2 alternatives. NDOT will be evaluating the impact of the alternatives on both the natural and human environment. Natural environment constraints include wetlands and waters of the U.S., floodplains, and fish and wildlife, including threatened and endangered species. Human environmental constraints include property impacts, including acquisition of right-of-way and impacts on houses and other buildings, historical properties, including archaeological sites, wells, and center pivots and hazardous materials. The widen south alternative was selected as our preliminary preferred alternative because it has fewer wetland, floodplain, property, and well impacts. Additionally, it has fewer hazardous material sites and no impact on feedlot sewage lagoons. At the west end, the new lanes transition from a 4-lane urban section to a 4-lane undivided section at approximately Q Road. Over this transition, the new lanes begin on the north side of existing roadway to avoid business impacts and transition to the south side by P Road. On the east side, the new lanes transition to the north side of the existing road to connect to the previously constructed lanes. The proposed project would require the acquisition of additional property rights, which could include new right-of-way, control of access, permanent easements, temporary easements, commercial and residential relocations, and/or impacts to center pivot irrigation systems. If your property is impacted by this project, you'll be contacted by a representative once the design footprint has been established. Access to adjacent properties would be maintained during construction, but may be limited at times due to traffic phasing requirements. Let's take a look at the project schedule. The preliminary design phase began in early 2024, followed by stakeholder meetings in the fall of 2024 and again in early 2025. At this public meeting, we're sharing the design and gathering public feedback. Environmental approvals are expected by summer of 2025, and we're aiming to complete the final design by late fall of 2025. The right-of-way process began in 2024 and will continue through 2025, setting us up for the bid letting process in fall of 2025. Finally, construction could begin as early as 2025 and continue through 2029. Information regarding the proposed project will be available at www.ndot.info/32024A. Comments will be collected through February 5, 2025 and can be submitted on the project website at NDOT headquarters or to Sarah Fisher or Kevin Damagala. Thank you for your time and participation.